Hej och välkomna till ännu en intervju med min vän Katie Longley. Katie är en Life Activation Practitioner baserad i Storbritannien. Hennes resa och väg började från en plats med långvarig kronisk barndomssjukdom, men har resulterat i egenmakt och en drivkraft att ge andra verktygen som räddade hennes liv. Så byter vi till det engelska för intervjun. Hello, Katie. Thank you for taking
Hello.
the time to join me here tonight.
No, thank you for inviting me. Very excited to talk all things life activation as ever.
Yeah, it is a magical topic for sure. So let's begin. Let's dive straight in with the first question. So I would like you to just share a little bit about why you chose to receive the life activation.
It's been a long path for me. It's been a very, very long journey. And I wouldn't even be able to pinpoint where it started. I've had quite severe health problems for the majority of my life. In my early teens, I contracted Lyme disease. By mid teens, I had lupus. By mid to late 20s, I developed a really rare, complicated illness called MCAS. But I've always been fighting it. But I, it just kind of meant that I spent a lot of my life in and out of disability at varying degrees, and no one could tell me why. Like half of these illnesses weren't even recognized by the medical profession in my country until recently. So I spent a lot of time in fatigue. I spent a lot of time in fog, and I was always looking for something more, I guess, which I mean, talk to anyone on the path, they'll say exactly the same thing. I just knew that there was something more. And something I've said right from I think when I was about 15, there had to be a reason why. There had to be a reason why I was dealing with this pain. There had to be a reason why I was dealing with this fatigue. Um, and then, I mean, I found yoga initially in my early 20s when I was quite severely disabled. I wasn't able to dress myself. I was largely bedbound. I didn't leave the house for like 3 months at a time. The fatigue was that bad. And then I did start finding yoga. And then the further down that path I went, I guess the more open I started becoming to spirituality in general and like these other paths. And I tried everything. I went down the medical route, which I was extremely complicated. And I went down the alternative healing routes. I went down the new age routes. I really did try it all. Um, and I only got so far and then I got knocked back. And then basically, when I came across Anna, who was my life activation practitioner, it was at a point where in my late 20s, my whole body shut down. So I reached a point of I was untreatable, I was uncurable. Um, I was told there was nothing else that anyone could do. It was just a case of making me comfortable and surviving my life, which is what I was doing. But then I came across the life activation and I received mine. And some things changed like right away. Like, bear in mind, I wasn't managing at this point, but I was on my walking stick a lot of the time. I had a lot of fatigue, but also all like those limiting beliefs that stop you from being you were really holding me back. But then I received my life activation. And don't get me wrong, I was so skeptical. Even with all like the yoga stuff and training and other healings and stuff I've done in the past, I was like, really? Really though? Really? But some things changed immediately. Like I started doing things that I'd been putting off for years, like things that I needed to tick off for me personally outside of my health. But like at that point, I'd been unmedicated for 7 years. So my health had obviously deteriorated in that time. Again, still untreatable, nothing we can do. Within 6 months of my life activation, I found the one and only pharmacy in the entirety of Europe that can provide me with the meds that I can tolerate to manage my condition. And since then, just like things have been building and building and building professionally, I'd been in a proper rut. Like I was working remotely, I was managing to work around what I was dealing with. but the job was awful. I was massively underpaid. Suddenly I got like my dream job within 8 months of my life activation. It was a huge push for me, but it was the job I always needed to see. If that's, do you know what I mean? For that time of my life, I needed to pursue that, and I got it. It was wild, but I'm now 2 years in, and I can't even like begin to tell you how much my life has changed. It's if I wrote it out and you saw the then and the now, you'd be like, "Who are you, girl? You're two different people, though." Like, and the more that time goes by, the more that things change. But I think, like, if I had to sum it up in, obviously, I've had a long rambling explanation of all the things that have happened, but it's like I got shown who I was again, and I'd forgotten after years of being beaten down, and I'm just not anymore. And I don't, more important, I don't take it anymore. Like if I go to an appointment and someone tells me I'm X, Y, and Z, it's like, but no, that's not me. That's you bringing it. Do you know what I mean? I got these boundaries that changed my entire life in the most positive of ways. It's not easy. Like the resistance I hit after my life, like, oh my goodness, it was just like a, oh, but am I ready for that sort of change? But you do, you embrace it, you surrender and you go, and then the magic happens and it keeps happening. That's the best thing. It doesn't wear off. It's like other healings I've done, I felt amazing afterwards. But then like weeks would go by, you kind of settle back into those patterns. You never go back. There is no back.
That's yeah, that's really, really true. You never go back, and I would never want to go back. It's
You
like
can't.
impossible.
You can't. Yeah, you've been plugged back into who you are. Why
Yeah,
would you want that fog to come back again?
I wouldn't for sure.
No.
So I feel like the next answer might be a no-brainer, but just let's go there anyway. So, with all of the things that happened and that led you to the path to life activation and everything that happened after, why did you choose to step forward to offer this healing, this life-changing session to everybody else?
Now I'm going to be honest here. So I think I've always had the call to serve, but I didn't recognize what it was. And when I found this, and definitely initially, like I said, I was in such a bad physical state that this was something that seemed to start to shift things. So for me, initially, it was definitely like, I wouldn't say from a selfish point of view, but it was from like a, this is going to help me, and I just knew that it would help me. But the further, I mean, and I could have left it at life activation. I could have left it at empower thyself. I could have left it at healers. But the more I go, the more I'm like, this has changed. This saved my life. It didn't just change my life. This saved my life. And I just wonder how many other people are out there that have been told they're untreatable, that have been told they're psychologically unstable, that, it's your hormones or whatever. You have no power here. Well, I can sit there and tell you, you do have power here. I felt it. Like what you learn on this path is the ultimate way of caring for yourself, because you learn how to care for yourself and other people too. Do you know what I mean? And that took me a really long time to understand, because just my personality type, like my process, my journey in life has always been like I give and I give and I give. But this is the first time I'm 35. This is the first time in my life I've learned how to receive and protect myself so I can give more, which, asked me 5 years ago, I would have been like, oh no, you're being selfish. Like that's not service. But now I'm like, no, you honor yourself. You have got to learn how to honor yourself, because then you can treat other people like the god and goddesses that they are.
Yeah, that's
That
That's a big shift from going from selfish to self-love and realizing that, same as on an airplane, they say, I know most people
Have
have
to.
flown so many times. I never listen to what they say because I feel like I know it so well, but it's like you never put a mask on someone else before you put it on yourself. So why would you in your emotional or mental or psychic or like in your for with money, for example, or with a job, with food, and it's like in the pack as well, but in a wolf pack, or if you have a dog, you feed yourself and then you feed your dog, alpha, beta, like
Absolutely.
it's such a big
But it's almost like, and I think that's one of the biggest lessons I had to learn was that if you're not putting yourself first, you're not putting anyone anywhere. Which again, it sounded counter, like, because obviously we talk so much about service and giving and giving and giving, but I had such little respect for myself and I didn't even know it. I didn't even know it until it was actually after healers when obviously you become the life practitioner. Um, I knew I had been quite in my logical mind, but I didn't realize I'd never operated from here before. Even like I have like over 1,000 hours of yoga teacher training. I've been doing it for years, but that was still kind of a performance. And do you know what I mean? I wasn't ever truly stepping out of the way. When you give a life activation, you step out of the way and you just give. But you can't do that if you're not strong in yourself first.
yeah. So who would you say would benefit from receiving this life activation, even if they want to be like you and me and continue progressing year after year, or if they just want to have their life activation and just chill after that? Who would you say would benefit from receiving the life activation?
Absolutely everyone. Like, even so, like I said, when I went into it, I just wanted to feel better. I was so sick. I had no idea of this path of progression or whatever that they were like, I kind of loosely knew that it was there, but I didn't. But it found me and my life changed. And the people that I've activated, I have seen every single one like start reaching pillars and changing their life and none of them, I think there's maybe one or two that want to go on the progression. Most of them are like quite happy, but they've totally and utterly changed their lives in the last year. Like I've seen people go from finally asking for that promotion and getting it and then becoming top of their, like one of my friends I gave life activation to, she had been in this job for 8 years without any sort of progression. She's now lead nurse in the clinic, seeing someone in a really healthy relationship. Other people that I've like over and over again, I just haven't seen one person that hasn't benefited from it, even if they didn't initially. 6 months on, 8 months on, already.
Yeah, it
You know,
takes time for some people, and some people will never admit that it is the life activation, but
when you might not even know, like it knocks you off your course by like 1%. So initially, you might not be, maybe you're not aware, maybe you're not noticing, maybe life is too busy for you to see. But within 3 months, 6 months, a year, 2 years, your life is going to be in a complete, like in the direction you always should have been in.
yes, for sure.
And also Donald Trump. Someone get that man a life activation, please.
I'm gonna say thank you so much, Katie, for taking the time to come on here and talk about the life activation with us. And I'm sure it's gonna reach everybody that needs to hear it, and it will change their life. And
And if you
yeah.
like, just last from it, like if you are skeptical, if you're not sure, if you're on the fence, if you've heard this and even there's a part of you that keeps thinking about it, what have you got to lose? Like, what have you got to lose? If you think it doesn't work, maybe I can't even say it because I don't know a single person that has had one that has been
No,
like my life hasn't changed in some way.
that's beautiful. Thank you so much, Katie, for taking time, and thank you for everybody listening.
Thank you for having me.
Don't forget to share and like and what's it called in subscribe? It's
Subscribe. Oh yeah, share, like, subscribe.
yeah. All right, bye bye.